Good evening, people, and welcome to URL Division 1. Today we're racing in Japan on the Suzuka circuit, and we'll start with the qualifying. We're about 15 people, so we'll see much track action, hopefully, with less DNF or crashes. Yeah. So, first of all, we're in the qualifying. We already see it's a cloudy sky. Might be rain coming down. Not yet to see, but we'll see sooner or later. Yeah. So, as already mentioned today, Division 1 is driving or hosting its race on the Suzuka circuit, which is now one of the circuits that's in the official F1 calendar. Yeah, the Suzuka International Racing Course is located, who would have thought, near Suzuka. It is a only track. It's shaped like an 8, so it has a form of the number 8. And we already have one DNF. Too early, I think. Yeah, Hugo Sanchez already crashed out. Unfortunate, but yeah, happens. So the Suzuka circuit is a 5.807 kilometer long track with 17 corners. Yeah. We have a track record set by Lewis Hamilton 2019 with a 130.083 during the race. Yeah. Okay. So in terms of the circuit, it's a pretty pretty hard circuit actually, because we have a lot of slow corners, but also pretty fast ones like the 130R or this turns they're shaped like the spoon. Yeah, well, we have mostly high technical corners like the S's at the beginning, also the hairpin in sector 2, and the last chicane where we had famous incidents. The most known incident for the last corners were the crash between Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost during the 1989 championship, where Prost and Senna crashed out. Prost had to retire on the spot, and Ayrton Senna kept on driving, but later was disqualified. We also had first corner incidents, and yeah, we all know that it's happened a lot. Well, a lot of times it happened there. We had 2012, I think, or 2011, where many drivers crashed out in the first corner, and we also had a very tragic accident in the S's with the loss of Jules Bianchi, who would have been good, maybe a Ferrari driver, maybe not. We wouldn't know. We're not supposed to know. Yeah, and already a second DNF we have with Mr. Warrior. God damn it, I don't know how to say, but the McLaren of Mr. Warrior X crashed out in ESs, same as Hugo Sanchez. So it's pretty pity already the loss of 2 drivers, but it's part of the game. Division 1 is very fast, and you have to be fast, but you cannot afford any mistakes, especially on Suzuka. But and we have another driver off track. It's Michael. He has already been off track and crashed out in the fast left-hander uphill. Tom Rover set the first flying lap with a medium tire, but was easily beaten by Jensen with the soft tires. So yeah, now Jensen with 1:26.1, fastest time for now. And Jay Wiz is the fastest medium driver on track right now. And we have a almost full yellow track. So, don't know what happened. It seems like many drivers seem to have issues with the track. I think mostly it's about the tire temperatures we have, because we have many clouds, so tire temperatures are pretty low, which could lead to less grip and yeah. But we'll see for now. And we have another, or we have now a fastest track set by Tempo Tesla actually. In the Williams, he has a 1:26.0, not far away from Jensen and not far away from the Ferrari driver who's set the second fastest time with a 1:26.109. But it's just the first run of the first run actually on the soft tires. We'll probably see another 2 or 3, or another 1 or 2 runs on the soft tire. So yeah, as we're already halfway through the qualifying, we already see, or we can see, or I can see at least, I have to say, all drivers have to. Okay, all drivers committed to the soft tires, so we'll definitely see only soft starters at the beginning, I think, unless somebody in the top 10 gonna stick with the medium tire, which for now is just only ERT Samber, and yeah, is the only one with the mediums to be in the 126. All other medium drivers have been only in the 127s, yeah. And we have another DNF on this, another retirement on the start-finish straight, which is actually a bit unusual to crash out there. Kind of reminds, kind of reminds of the 2019 qualifying where Robert Kubica and Kevin Magnussen both crashed out in the final corner. or more or less on a start-finish straight before setting their fastest lap off. We saw finishing their hot laps. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for now yeah. So to conclude, we still have so for now we have a pretty tight fight for the pole position, still held by, or was still held by Tempo Tesla. Now it's Cinetic with a 1:26.05, and the Ferrari is like, nope, you're not gonna get that, and with a almost 0.3 of a second pulls out a big gap between P1 and P2, but Tempo is still on the out lap, and Jensen is, now for now he's in the pits, but he will come back with another hard lap. And we also don't have, or we cannot also forget the other drivers like Black Box, who was actually pretty good on his first run, or maybe ERT Samba, who was within the 1:26 minutes with just a medium tire, so maybe he's gonna be way more faster on the softs, and even beat the Ferraris or the top drivers we've seen so far. And also SF in his AlphaTauri has not set a time yet. I think he just made too many mistakes, but I think he also has got the pace to fight for pole position. ACM in his Ferrari just set the 6th fastest time with a 1:26.3. Yeah. Okay. Now ERT Summer goes over the finish line with a 1:26.0. Could not quite make P2. It's just 8 thousandths away from P2. But it was a pretty good lap from him. I think there's much more potential because the difference between soft and medium tires is not that small. I think it's time difference of almost one second. So I think there's much more potential in that lap. I think he could even beat then Cinetic for P2. Yeah. But as we switch through the field, we see Tempo Tesla also has big problems on his lap. Was pretty far off track, but has not invalidated his time, so it was pretty lucky. It's not much slower than his actual fastest lap he has set yet, which is quite surprising. But he's aborting his lap, so there were too many mistakes then. Now we have the Racing Point of Black Box heading towards the finish line with a 1:25.96. So Black Box is the second driver to go within the 1:25s, but he is still 2/10 behind the Ferrari. So the Ferrari for now he made a superb job. Pulled out first set together with 3/10. Now it's just still 2.5 tenths. So still a big gap, I think. But I think it's also, for now, I think it's also not safe because he was beaten by Tempo Tesla in the first run, so I think there's still a bit time to, time he has to, still potential, let's say that. English today is not the best, I really have to admit. But it happens. But I'm also I'm actually pretty excited for the race because it's Japan. So if we have rain, it's gonna be pretty interesting. But as we have such fast times, I would guess the race is gonna start in dry conditions, or will be in dry conditions. Otherwise, we would have higher lap times with around, probably, just a guess, 126.5. Because in rain Japan, you already need a bit, or you need a lot of downforce already for Japan, but with rain on the in the race, would probably need way more. They would actually like to have or like to use, but yeah, we're gonna see. Yeah. So, with less than 1 minute and 30 to go, we now have to concentrate on the runs for pole position right now. Jensen is setting a personal or a session best sector in middle sector. He was 2.5 tenths up on his own time. Let's see where he comes out in the end. And he has not beaten the Ferrari. He misses out by less than 3/100ths of a second. So provisional pole is still with the Ferrari. But there's yet a lot of people to come. Like we still have Sonetic on a hard lap. ERT Samber is still on the out lap, and Tempo Tesla is now starting his flying lap. So it will be interesting to see where they come out in the end. Maybe even the Ferrari might be a big surprise and get on pole. Not like in reality, but this year was no. Anyway. No. No, Sonetic is the first one to actually set a flying lap, or finish his flying lap, and he's got onto the third or onto the second row with a 125.8. His teammate Blacklock stayed in the pits, so he has not had a chance to set a time. And the next one to come is actually the Red Bull with Nikhil, but he is way too slow to actually compete for the top 10. But we have Tempo Teslas. He's also on the flying lap, and he was only 1.5 tenth up on his time, and he stays within the 126. Only makes P5 with 126.014. Actually, but he might not be happy with this. Maybe, I don't know. Now the other Red Bull with Levan makes it gets onto P11. Then we have J-Wiz. He is a bit faster, but not fast enough for the top 10. Also, only now pushes Levan down and takes P11. And we have ACM spun out on his flying lap. Same happened to ERT Samber. So we still have. Who's still going? SF is not going fast in his AvTari. ACM is now just trying to get the car over the line to finish the qualifying. And what the fuck? I was just watching him and he lost his front right suspension just by driving out of the gravel. Can anyone explain that? Please? Is this just a fucking bug or what happened? So, with this, we finished qualifying. So it's a Ferrari pole position. Then we have Jensen with his Renault on a second place. He missed out by less than 3/100ths of a second. Might not be happy with that, but I think P2 is also not bad for Japan. Then we have a complete pink second row with both Racing Points, Cinetic and Black Box. Yeah. Then we have Tampa Tesla in his Williams on P5, Yerti Samber on 6, Michael in 7th position. Then we have the second Renault in 8th, the ACM in his Ferrari on 9th, and SF finishing the top 10 in his AlphaTauri. And we have Jwiz, Levin, Tom, and Nikhil completing the top 14. And we have Hugo Sanchez, who crashed out, and also the McLaren who also crashed out on his offline lap. Yeah. So we're now in the grid, and it looked like it was raining. Maybe rain will come. We'll check. No, for now it seems like every driver has dry tires chosen, and the drivers out of the top 10 even choose the harder compounds. So we see hard tires and medium tires being chosen by several drivers. So they're gonna drive under cloudy conditions. But now we go into the formation lap. Okay. So for the race itself, it's gonna be pretty interesting because we have a dry race but under cloudy conditions. So the track is not really hot, so it will also keep the tire temperatures a bit lower than usual. So it might even help the soft tire drivers to drive more laps with their tires than they're usually expected to drive. I will also give the other drivers with the medium and hard compound tires a bit more to think about, because they have then to get a good strategy have good pace to actually compete with the soft tire drivers, because then they have to fulfill a very good strategy to get ahead, or they even have to pass them while they are still on the soft compound tires. It's gonna be pretty interesting for sure. Yeah, in 27 laps there's there can happen a lot. We know Japan is a pretty hard circuit for the most drivers. It's not really liked by everybody. Many people struggle on it, especially in ESS with the curbs, with the high curbs, which could lead to many spins. But we'll see soon when the grid is finally formed for the race start itself. Now we're waiting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights on, and it's lights out, and away we go. It's a good start from Jensen, it's a good start from Ferrari, but the Racing Point has a way better start. So Synetics is already ahead of Jensen. Into turn 1 we go. Black box on the inside, fighting with Tempo. Then we have the Tempo now in the fight with ERT Samba, who is on the outside and goes through, but Tempo fights back, and we already have a big collision, and we have a Watcher's safety car out. SF crashed out, but he didn't lose his front wing. We have Leven already out with DNF. We have Jaguars, who also went off track and lost his front wing. Maybe there has been even more drivers involved. We don't know yet. It's just only a Watcher's safety car. Yeah. So for now, the top 10 or the top 7 actually stayed almost like that. The only switch that have been happening in the start was Synetic switch with Jensen. So Synetic up into P2, Jensen lost out and back in P3. Now we have at the restart ACM in his Ferrari fighting with the second Renault, and Hugo, who's already gained a lot of places. Starting P15, he's already up in P10, not trying to overtake after the famous 130R, and he's diving to the inside, but stays fair, but he cannot make it stick yet. What we see, we will see. Okay, now we have a bit of box happening. And we have lost another driver. Jay-Wiz retired in the pits. It's unfortunate, but you can actually understand it. You have lost your front wing and all. You're already that far back with the hard tires. Starting with the hard tires, it's not really worth it then to really still fight. I mean, there could have been a safety car, should have been a safety car, I should say. But yeah, that's the game. That's part of the game. Sorry. Okay. We had there was a driver far off the road. Both AlphaTauris have gone off track, but continue the race still, so no problem over there for now. And like in Russia, we see the top drivers all close together within the 1 second. So, and with now DRS activated in lap 3, we're gonna see a bit more action, I hope. Or maybe not. And now Jensen has lost out. He's not anymore within the 1 second for now. That's not right now at this point on the track. It's not really mattering. It only matters when it comes to the last chicane, because there's a DRS detection point, and there is where it matters, where he has to be within the 1 second to actually open the DRS. And now we have ERT Summer attacking Tampa Tesla, but he cannot make it into turn 1. Was a bit too far behind. and okay, never mind. So we still see the top 6 drivers pretty much within 1 second. Sometimes they get out, but they're at the end of the lap they always stick together more or less. It's actually quite surprising that they can stick this good together without losing too much time, making some mistakes. We have seen few people off track in the spoon-shaped turn, but it's not. Well, not at this point. It doesn't really matter. We have a yellow flag. It was probably Mr. Warrior off track. Still have a yellow flag. The game is actually having a bit fun right now. Again, yellow flag. What's happening? Like, that seems like another bug of this game. I don't know. And now within the 5th lap, we're going. Michael sets the new fastest lap, and ERT Summers trying again with the attack, but he's still a bit too far behind. And as well, Tempo could defend himself with a overtake button and the DRS he's receiving from Black Box. But now Samba's still trying pretty hard, even through the S's, which is not really a spot to overtake, unless you have faith in the other driver. And the other driver also trusts you. Otherwise, it's not the best idea to try an overtake in the S's, because mostly it will lead to a collision. There's not much space. We still have still ACM in his Ferrari is shown 1 lap behind, even though he's actually in P8, which is I don't know. Maybe the game is a bit buggy, or the lobby is bogged out. I don't know. And Hugo Sanchez passed the second Renault, so it seems like the second Renault is a bit struggling with his tires, or just Hugo, or just Hugo's pace is maybe so good that he can keep up with the that he could have kept up with the other drivers in qualifying if he didn't crash out. So like in Russia, he's showing a strong pace, but he has to keep it till the end, otherwise it won't really matter. And we have SF passing now, and Red Bull of Nikki. He also is gaining some places back again. I mean, he spun out at the beginning at the first lap incident we had. And still still pretty good for all drivers. Nobody has really received a 3-second time penalty. But I think we're not far away from the point where we will start to see a few 3-second penalties being dropped to some drivers. And we should also not be far away anymore from the pit window for the soft drivers. It's gonna be pretty interesting who tries an undercut and who's gonna stay out, because all the top 7 drivers are within within 4 seconds. So yeah, Black Box the first one to pit, and ERT Samba is directly following him. So Black Box and ERT Samba both trying the undercut, changing onto the hard compound tire. So it's gonna be pretty interesting where they come out when they've completed their lap, their first lap on the hard tires. It's gonna be interesting if they can gain any positions against the other drivers. And we have a crash, and that's Michael crashed out in the fast left-hander uphill, and it's a virtuous safety car still, and he's he's in the middle of the track and it's a virtual safety car. So actually it would under real conditions in a real F1 it would be I think it would even be a red flag at this moment, because the way he is on track, sitting on track, would be too dangerous for him and for the other drivers. But that's the game. It might be even now a good gamble for the top drivers to pit now, because virtual safety car we still have it out on track. It could help them, and would be not so good for Black Box and Samba, who have just pitted, but now we're back under racing conditions. Now we're gonna see who pits now. Only Jensen and Tempo both go into the pits, so they decided to undercut as well. And we have the one-stop pit window open with the medium tires, but they're changing onto the hard compound tire, or at least Jensen. Tempo changes to the mediums, so he's going with the one-stop strategy on the medium tires, so he has to manage them a bit better. And we see Black Box and Summer fighting in the background. So they actually lost out a bit due to the virtual safety car, but not too much, I think. So yeah. We have the first 3-second time penalty, as I announced it already. I already said we are in the area where we could start to see the 3-second time penalties because of the worn soft tires, and yeah, the second Renault is the first one to receive one. And Senetic dives into the pits while the Ferrari still stays out, so I think he still seems like he has got enough life left in his tires. And also the second Renault stops or pits now, and we have, or I personally have some issues. It seems like some drivers not shown to that are leaving the pit, and Senetic now emerges out of the pits, and he gets out well ahead of the other drivers, almost a full second away. So the overcut has actually been better than the undercut. Now we see a battle for P2 at the moment. Hugo Sanchez against the other Ferrari, battling hard. It's gonna be pretty interesting to see what strategy Ferrari is actually using, because both drivers started in the top 10, both drivers are out on these soft tires still. While one is leading, the other one has to defend himself against Hugo Sanchez in his Haas, who is on medium tires and who has now much more grip and traction. It would be a hard time for ACM to defend himself then against the Haas. And also interesting to see Tom and Nicky fighting. Tom already passed Nicky and he is on the hard tires, so he is also interesting to see, because Nicky is still struggling on his actually better and faster medium tires. And yeah, one Ferrari pits and is followed by SF in his AlphaTauri, while the other one stays out and loses his loses P1 against Hugo. He made a mistake then, obviously. And we see Senetic has passed the Ferrari, so the Ferrari lost out at this point, so he should have gone into the pits a lap earlier to prevent the undercut. So Senetic is now leading the field, followed by Jensen, then the Ferrari, then Tempo. But Ferrari is on medium tires, so he has the fatter tire, not the fatter, it would not be good. He has the faster tires, so he actually has a chance to regain P1, but he has to manage them as well. We're gonna see at the end which strategy will pay out. And we have Jensen with a 3-second time penalty. He's the second one, which is at this point it's not so good for him because nobody else around him has a 3-second time penalty, and he would lose then his now actually virtual P2. He would lose it and would be probably then 5th in the end if it stays like that, and they all overtake then the last or the other drivers who have to pit yet. And we see ACM in the box in the pits, and he chose the medium tires and emerges in front of the Renault. So he's also on the one stop with the mediums. Maybe he can gain now a bit more to the front runners. They're just 2.7 seconds away, so it should not be that hard for him to gain and maybe fight for more points than he would have expected to fight for. And we have the Ferrari trying and he has overtaken Jensen into the hairpin like Kamui Kobayashi always did, and now he made it stick in the spoon-shaped turn. Well done. But he has yet to pass another car to regain P1. And that will be, I think, that will be an even harder task, because Synthetic is now past the McLaren, the McLaren, and he is way slower than the other drivers. So, and now he has DRS and also overtake available. He might defend himself pretty hard. But the Ferrari sweeps past into turn 1. Now it's Synthetic against the Ferrari for P1 at the moment. So for virtual P1, it's not P1 yet. But when the other drivers have to go into the pits, it will be P1 then. And Tom Robo receives also his first 3-second time penalty. So, but he is on the hardest tires, so he has still faster sets of tires available. So it would not bother him too much, I think, at this point. And we have the Ferrari. The leading Ferrari has received a 3-second time penalty on straight. Yeah, he received a 3-second time penalty on the straight. Don't know why. Didn't see it, but strange. And now Tempo is trying to attack Jensen, who is on the harder tires. But due to the DRS he's been given by the McLaren driver head and both the low percentage of the batteries, Tempo had no chance to overtake him. And we also see now ACM is closing in on Black Box's Racing Point. Both have not both have a time penalty, sorry. But yeah, he was able to break free from the Renault driver behind. And we see Tempo still trying to find a way past Jensen, who himself tries to find a way past the McLaren head. And due to that, Synetics and the Ferrari both already pulled out a 2-second gap, and now Hugo Sanchez is the first of the last 3 drivers to pit with his medium tires, and he goes to the, what is that? Seems like the hard tires. Yeah, the hard compound tires. And Nikhil follows him into the pits. Also chooses the hard compound tires. So now Tom Robo is actually leading the field with a 2.4 second gap to Synetics, who's followed by Ferrari with a 1 second gap almost. Then we have the McLaren, followed by Jensen and Tempo. And then we have Samba in 7th, Black Box in 8th, and ACM in 9th, while Hugo emerged in 10th, ahead of the Renault. Which is actually not bad for him, but he now has to get up to good pace, and he has to hunt down now all the drivers ahead of him. Now Jensen made a move into the hairpin. Now trying to make it stick around the outside, but the McLaren defends himself with the overtake button. Jensen, who has not much battery power left, cannot do much about that, while Tempo has been off track, and we have a AlphaTauri who's going slow. I think he spun out. Yeah, he spun out of the hairpin and lost his front wing, so it might be another retirement because he's too far back. And now we have ACM attacking into the last chicane, and he was ahead, and now he made it stick out of the last corner. But Black Box is fighting back with DRS and overtake button, but seems like he can do not much about that. Yeah, he has to give up P8 to the Ferrari driver. While Tempo made it past Jensen, but now he gives the place back, or maybe not. Nope. They're both still fighting hard for P4, going side to side, and now also Tempo receives his 3-second time penalty, but he is ahead and he has the faster tires. Now Samba and ACM both fighting with the McLaren, and ACM dives to the inside on the hairpin, but has to stay behind the Mercedes. And now Hugo Sanchez also closed in on the drivers ahead fighting. And I think the McLaren there is a bit of a problem for the other drivers, because he is still blocking. I mean, he's keeping up his pace not bad with his old tires, but he is a big issue for the other drivers. We see it, they're side by side into the 130R, which is actually pretty hard to drive then. It takes a lot of confidence, and you can allow no mistakes, otherwise you have 2 drivers at least crashing out. Now Hugo attacking and trying to do it around the outside into turn 1, but cannot make it stick. ACM on medium tires has a bit more traction, so he still stays ahead. Now Synetics and the Ferrari both closed in on Tom Robo, who's still out on his hard tires, leading the field, but I guess not for much longer, because Synetics both in the Ferrari way faster than Tom on his old hard tires. But we're gonna see soon. Bit further back, now Black Box made a move on the McLaren and got past in a spoon-shaped turn, while ACM is still trying to find a way past, and also has to defend himself against the Haas behind, who's on fresher tires. It's actually pretty tight battle over there. pretty interesting to see. And now Tom pits, and he changes onto the soft compound tires with 11 laps to go. And we have Hugo and ACM both side to side. Hugo was good in turn 1, was good at the side of ACM, but could not make it stick the move. Had to conceive the P8 and go back to P9. While the McLaren is still out on his first set of tires. I think he is actually still pretty good on his way, but he should sooner or later now pit for soft compound tires, I would guess. While we are at the front, Sadetic and Farah is still battling for track position for P1. While Jensen now had to give up P4 to ERT Samba, who has been a bit faster than him. And now Black Box is hunting down Jensen. Jensen's P5. Well, he's trying to hunt it down, to say the least. And ERT Samba sets the new fastest lap of 1:29.349 on the hard tires. Not bad. It's almost a second faster than Lewis Hamilton did in 2019 under race conditions. Oh, and there's been... Oh, that looked pretty nasty indeed. But fortunately, we have ghosting turned on, so no real harm done, only for ACM. He spun out in the spoon-shaped corner, because the McLaren, who's still out on his first set of tires, closed in. I think he closed the door too early. Now he is going to pits, but he closed the door too early while ACM was trying to go to the inside, and then he spun out because he had no room left whatsoever. That's pretty unfortunate for him. He was in a good way to at least secure P7, what would be P7 for now. But that happens, it's part of the game, and it's unfortunate for the people. And we have no, that's not Jensen, that's the second Renault who spun out like Michael did, but he kept it on track and kept his car going without losing any tires or front wing. It's a good job done over there, even though he ripped his tires. But he kept it. He kept his car alive, we could say. And once again we have the yellow flag bug appearing out of nowhere. Not well, it happens. Okay. But now with 8 laps to go, we have ERT Samba attacking Tempo, and yeah, Tempo tries to fight, but he has powerless to fight or powerless to defend against Samba, and Samba now sweeps past him into turn 1, even made it on the straight stick, but now safe through turn 1 and through the S's. And now we have Tempo's. I think Tempo's struggling with his medium tires a bit. He still has 8 laps to go, so it's gonna be a hard time for him. While Jensen behind on hard tires and Black Box both hunting him now. Because it seems like he cannot keep up with Yoshi Samba's pace, yeah, and we see it already 1.3 seconds off the driver ahead, so seems Tempo is really struggling with his tires. I think he has to make another pit stop to get to the end of the race, which would be pretty harming, but at least then he has the chance to reduce the harm that has been done if he pits for another time, for another time. He would probably then emerge somewhere around P10. With fresh soft tires, you can maybe hunt down the driver's head, but that's up to him. It's just my opinion, and for what I see now from data I receive. Yeah. Now we see Black Box, who is actually on the move. He's trying to go down the inside. He pushes. Jensen's pushed a bit off track, but was his own decision, I think, to at least get off track to avoid any big crashes. And now Black Box made it past Jensen, but Jensen is desperate to fight back through last sector, even though he has no battery power left whatsoever, like the man ahead of him, the other drivers. Yeah, and it's the now it's the most interesting fight on track, and we see and for now I think, as it stands now, I think even the fight for P1 has settled so far. I think I personally believe Senetic is gonna win this race if he makes no mistakes. The Ferrari is gonna be second, even though he has a time penalty. He just has 3-second time penalty, and ERG Samba is a bit too far behind. He's not got the pace of the front runners to keep up, or to even close in and have a chance to fight for P2. Then we have Samba in third. Looks for him now safe, because he's almost got 2 seconds gap. He got a 2-second gap to Tempo. Yeah, and we have now the second Renault retires. Too many issues in this race. Unfortunate, but yeah. Then I think for P4 Tempo, even though he might make it to the end with his tires, his 3-second time penalty will cost him at least P4 for now. Maybe even P5 if Hugo can keep up with the group. Yeah, I think then we have P6. Yeah, P6 is probably then settled, or is set to be. I forgot what I wanted to say. What happens? Okay, anyway, yeah. As said, I think Hugo Sanchez is one of the drivers who will actually gain the most out of the penalties ahead of him. So for now, it looks like he will be in P5 if we would stop the race now, as it stands. And we see Black Box with a bold move down the inside in the hairpin, and he made it past Tempo on track, so he doesn't even have to wait to the finish line. and now maybe might be able to hunt down Samba and even get P3, just like last time, like Russia. But there was that has been P2 for him. I think, no, or was P1? I don't know. I remember, even though it was just 1 week ago. Yeah. Now Tempo's forced to fight with Jensen once again, and yeah, Hugo will now definitely gain 2 positions because of the time penalties, and Tempo is fighting back and back into P4. So Black Box could not defend himself that much on the straight, and now is once again behind Tempo, fighting, hunting. Yeah, then we have, I think, after that it's a pretty safe that Jensen is gonna be P7. It seems like Tom will be P8, ACM P9. Yeah, Nikki seems to stay with 10th, but ACM is spun out in a fast left-hander, and now Nikki might even take advantage because he is close to him. Yeah, he is within the 3 seconds, so Nikki will even gain 1 position if he can stick with ACM, and it's gonna be the McLaren who will be 11th, because it seems like he's not got the pace to take any advantage out of the 3 seconds. Or maybe if ACM makes another mistake, he could even receive 1 point. But it's what we're gonna see in 3 more laps. What it will be for him, if it will be a point or if it will be just P11. Yeah, and as we come to the closing stages of the race, for now, with watching the onboard perspective of Tampa Tesla, we definitely see a lot of graining on his front tires. We see a darker trace of rubber. So I believe there's not much left on his tires, while Hugo Sanchez made it past Jensen on track. And now Tempo has to give up the fight for P4, because he is out of the second. He's out of the DRS window. And now it's Hugo hunting him down. And for me, he has the best bug that's existing in the fucking game, the engine bug. It sounds like you're trying to kill a I don't know. It sounds horrible. And I don't even know why they didn't fix it yet. And now he made it past on a straight. Even Jensen made it past. I think it doesn't look like Tempo has really a puncture, but it was pretty slow on the straight. Sorry. Maybe he's trying now. He has to reduce his pace to try and get these tires over the line without making another pit stop. It looks to me like. And so Hugo is now able to hunt Black Box. Black Box is P4, which will be, I think, the last really interesting battle. And Black Box goes off track, and he's got a puncture. He's got a front left puncture. We would definitely not expect that one. He is actually on the hard tires. I wonder why he's got a puncture. He's the first one to receive a puncture, and it will be his front left tire. I mean, he's done 18 laps, but ERT Samba has done the same amount of laps. We still see a lot of graining on all tires, but that's I think he took too much out of his tires with the battle with Tempo and the other drivers. Now he either has to pit or complete another lap on the flat tire, but he chooses to go into the pit. So now it is pretty interesting to see who else will receive a puncture. Oh yeah, and at the front we see Senedic now made it. He's out of the he's made it out of the 1 second DRS window. Yeah, Nefari has to conceive and has to stop the battle with the driver ahead. Yeah, will have to settle with P2, even though he had pole position. He just could not make it on track, and he had a 3-second time penalty. So unfortunate either way. And now the McLaren is actually within the points, so he made it with his long first stint. He made it into the points with a bit of luck, but yeah. Now Senedic finishes his race in first position. The Ferrari comes home to be second, and ERT Sammer is the last driver to finish off the podium. Then we have Hugo in P4, Jensen in P5, respectively, with a bit of luck. Tempo in 6 with his pretty worn tires, I think. Tom finishes in 7th, and yeah, he rips his car apart on the start-finish straight, but after he's been waved to the checker flag, and he causes he causes a big crash. It's gonna be interesting to see, and another car goes in. Yeah, McLaren finishes in 11th, and Black Box last to finish on track. Was not yeah, in my opinion, it was not a really eventful race. We had few DNFs, not really. So we had a bit on track action, but the fight for P1 was like decided when we after the Ferrari received his 3-second time penalty. After that, it seemed like it was already decided, and yeah, the only really action that was happening was a fight for P4 and even for the podium before. But that's mostly because of the only DRS zone you have on track, and all the drivers almost with the same pace as we see. All the best laps are within the low 129s. So they were just following each other, trying to make no mistake. But Hugo was able to gain 11 places with his mistake he made in qualifying. Still very good from him, I think, and he is well deserved driver of the day. Jensen unfortunately lost out too much, made too many mistakes. Yeah. So again we have a Racing Point P1. So for 2 weeks now, Racing Point has won the races. Pretty solid. It's gonna help them in the Constructors' Championship. Anyway, that was the Division 1 from Japan. I will see you next week, probably again then with my co-commentator. Yeah. Bye bye peeps.